This evening, our discussion will focus on an emerging safety concern that is impacting our community and directly involves the youth who live and visit the city of Temecula. The e-bike and e-motorcycle wave appears to have arrived in Temecula in earnest, and we are beginning to see a rapid uptick in troubling behavior and trends with use of these machines in all areas of our city. Our robust city camera system provides the video proof of dangerous, even reckless navigation of these e-machines on our city streets, the sidewalks, parks, even inside of our mall. Shortly, I will ask Lieutenant Vic Pearson to share his thoughts on this topic and a few videos so you can see firsthand what I am referring to. Following that, I will briefly touch on some of the actions the city, the Sheriff's Office, and the Temecula Valley Unified School District are taking in order to address e-bike safety. As local government officials, I believe our best approach is to first focus on training, education, and voluntary compliance with existing laws and city ordinances. Rightfully, our priority is the safety of our youth operating these e-machines as well as pedestrians and the motoring public. However, when those meaningful efforts fail to achieve the desired outcome, we must demonstrate our ability and willingness to take enforcement action. Ignorance or blatant disregard of the laws cannot be tolerated, and as unpleasant as receiving a ticket or having your e-motorcycle towed away might be, it may also save the child from serious injury or worse. I cannot overstate the very critical role parents play in ensuring their child's safety when operating these machines. This includes really understanding the type of machine you have purchased for them and whether it's even street legal. Realize that many of these machines can easily be modified to go significantly faster than advertised, and instructions are courtesy of social media platforms. Also, monitoring your child's social media for invites to seemingly benign meetups at local parks or shopping centers referred to as ride-outs, which is really code for all manner of traffic chaos, with 30 to 50 riders descending into and onto the city streets simultaneously, splitting traffic lanes, running signals and stop signs, blocking intersections, etc., and then fleeing from the police when we are inevitably called to the area. Sadly, we have learned of recent traffic collisions involving e-machines and motor vehicles with tragic results. I was made aware of one last night in South Temecula, which resulted in the juvenile being transported to a local hospital for injuries sustained in that collision. Another such accident recently involved a juvenile who suffered life-altering injuries after colliding with a motor vehicle at significant speed and being thrown from the e-motorcycle they were riding. Also recently, a juvenile from a neighboring city died from injuries sustained while riding an e-motorcycle and colliding with a motor vehicle. Please know when these tragic incidents occur, law enforcement will conduct an exhaustive investigation to determine fault and other significant mitigating factors which led to or contributed to the collision. In some cases, parents of a child injured in these types of collisions could face a criminal referral for child endangerment pursuant to Section 273A of the California Penal Code, depending on the totality of the circumstances. We will evaluate and take into consideration the age of the rider, time of day, road conditions, machine, street, legal, or modified, lack of safety equipment, no adequate parental supervision or oversight, etc. It's imperative that parents understand their potential culpability when their child is injured operating an e-machine in violation of law. I know that's a lot, so I'm going to pause right there for a minute, and I'm going to invite Lieutenant Pearson to come forward and share his thoughts and also share these videos that I referenced earlier.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Team, City residents, good evening. Tonight I want to talk about a growing trend that's taking over our streets, e-bikes and e-motorcycles. These eco-friendly, cost-effective modes of transportation are transforming how we commute, offering an efficient alternative to traditional vehicles. With fewer emissions and a more affordable price tag, it's no surprise that e-bikes and e-motorcycles have become incredibly popular, especially among young people. However, as this trend gains momentum, so does a concerning issue: the increased number of juveniles operating e-motorcycles recklessly on our city streets. We've all seen the news reports from other cities, or perhaps even witnessed it firsthand here in our city. Young individuals performing dangerous stunts, weaving in and out of traffic, speeding, and not wearing proper safety gear. These stunts, while thrilling to some, present a serious threat to their safety and to the safety of everyone else on the road. What's more troubling is that many of these young riders lack the maturity, experience, and judgment needed to handle such powerful machines responsibly. E-motorcycles can reach high speeds, and when misused, they become a danger not only to the rider, but to pedestrians, cyclists, and other drivers as well. I'm now going to play some videos. If you can go to the next slide, please. So this is December 28th, 2024. It's just a few days after Christmas at 5 o'clock in the evening on Old Town Front Street. You can see the riders are going in oncoming traffic. Next slide, please. This is a little bit further down the street, same night. And mind you, all vehicles on the roadway, whether they're e-motorcycles, e-bikes, cars, they have to yield to stop signs. And in a moment, you're going to see a few more motorcycles coming down the center of the roadway. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is after law enforcement was alerted to what was going on in Old Town, what we just saw, and they had deputies looking for them, and this is where they rode out to. This is Rancho Cal and Jefferson. And I want you to look across the street. You're going to see two bike riders come through against a green light. And judging by the sound of everybody in the room, everybody's just as concerned as we are. Next slide, please. This is January 20th. It was a Monday. So it was Martin Luther King Day, I believe. They did a ride-out that day, and this is what they did. They went right there against a red and just shot across the street on Rancho Cal and Margarita. So they went southbound on Margarita right there. Next slide, please. And this is them coming back, same group. They're going to come north on Margarita, and they're going to stop right here at the intersection. Got a few stragglers back there. They're catching up, though. So you're going to see the riders. They're going to wait right here at the intersection. And then when the traffic stops going eastbound on Rancho Cal, that's when they're going to make a decision to change direction. And you'll see how it impacts the people making the eastbound turn onto Rancho California Road.
Also, I'll add here while we're watching that, one of the other things that we see occurring now is somebody in these groups, particularly when law enforcement arrive in the area, the riders will all take off. Somebody will stay back to record so that those videos can be posted to their social media pages later on.
Next slide, please. So this is Ronald Reagan Sports Park. They're going to come out here onto Rancho Vista. You can see one of the riders is actually in the oncoming traffic lane. He's about to move a little bit.
not to interrupt you, Vic, but that last motorcycle looks like an actual, like, two-stroke, like, dirt bike.
There is one of them that is a dirt bike.
It's like not even electric.
Next slide, please. So this is a reference guide. I have every intention on posting this on our Southwest RSO social media page, just to get out to the community so that the parents can see these things. But a lot of what you saw just now are the Surons, maybe a couple of the Telarias, a Segway, E-Ride Pro. But you can see the models are listed below. The top speed of these machines is for at least the Suron right here at 68 miles an hour. And it was, I think the low end is 46. And you can see the peak motor watts. Very strong machines. Next slide, please. And then this is your classification chart. So I wanted to just point these things out. When I reviewed the surveillance video that you guys just watched, I didn't see any of these class 1, 2, or 3 e-bikes. What I saw were the electric motorcycles, a dirt bike, which is a gas-powered motorcycle, and that was about it. And maybe the moped motorized bicycle, and you'll see some of those smaller ones out there. There may have been one of those in there, but you'll see if you go to applicable laws, the class 1, 2, and 3, helmet required, age and helmet required. And then you get into the electric motorcycle or the moped motorized bicycle, or even the motorized scooter, and you start talking about a license being required, the different California vehicle codes that apply to both the motorized scooter as well as the electric motorcycle off highway. So if a juvenile is riding an e-motorcycle in our city and they don't have a license and with an M1 endorsement, we can tow that. They can be cited. And if they pop a wheelie, I don't know if you guys saw that in the video, but a lot of them do. They ride in that position. That is a qualification right away for reckless driving, and they can be arrested and filed charges with our, depending on their age. It could be, if they're an adult, it'll go to Riverside County Court. If they're juvenile, it'll go to juvenile probation. So I got a few more remarks before I close out and hand it back over to Captain Regali. The simple fact is that the thrill of these machines can lead to poor decision making. Whether it's racing down narrow city streets or performing stunts in crowded areas, these reckless actions endanger lives. Even though e-bikes and e-motorcycles don't rely on fossil fuels, their misuse on city streets can have far-reaching consequences far beyond just environmental impact. This is where we as a community need to step in. Parents, it's crucial that you are actively involved in what your children are doing, especially when it comes to the use of such powerful equipment. These machines may seem fun and exciting, but they come with significant risks. We need to remind our young ones about the importance of responsible riding, proper safety gear, and above all, the dangers of engaging in reckless behavior. I encourage parents to have open conversations with their children about the responsibilities that come with owning, riding an e-bike or e-motorcycle. If your child expresses interest in riding, take the time to educate them about safe practices, the laws in place to protect everyone on the road, and most importantly, the potential consequences of unsafe behavior. Let's work together to keep our streets safe for everyone. By staying involved and offering guidance, we can ensure that the excitement of these innovative vehicles doesn't come at the cost of safety. It's time to turn this trend into something positive and ensure that both our kids and our communities stay protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Pearson. So we could, read all these different things all night long, but I think the video really kind of tells the tale and just how concerning this is. I will wrap up with I want to touch briefly on some of the ongoing efforts for education and safety that we are currently undertaking. So Our e-bike safety efforts are highlighted under 3 categories. The first one is public education and outreach. Number 2 is municipal code updates and enforcement of laws. And number 3 is infrastructure projects designed to promote safe riding. Beginning in 2024, the City of Temecula has engaged the public with training and education materials through press releases, monthly e-blasts from the City Manager's Office, social media posts, and links on the city webpage to safety videos. There's a wealth of valuable information that already exists and is available to the public. The City and Sheriff's Office are collaborating to provide in-person e-bike training classes. The first such class was held earlier this month. Over 50 children and parents were in attendance. We will continue this effort as it was well received and well attended. The Temecula Valley Unified School District and the Sheriff's Office are collaborating to provide mandatory safety classes for all students who are riding e-bikes to and from school. City staff is evaluating current city ordinances and making recommendations to enhance enforcement efforts when needed. We are also evaluating some local Southern California beach communities' e-bike programs and ordinances for adaptation to our city where it makes sense to do so. Lastly, the City of Temecula continues to improve on our citywide bike lanes, as well as our trail program, which allows for safe riding. In closing, I will just say it's my sincere hope that our continued collaboration and increased parental involvement will yield the safety results we are hoping to achieve. Lieutenant Pearson and I will be available for any questions that you might have following tonight's meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Lieutenant. I know all those videos were hard to watch, and we appreciate your strict enforcement of the city ordinances. Do any of my colleagues have any comments or questions?
I do have a couple questions. Thank you so much for all that you guys are doing. I've seen the videos but a little bit before, and I know it's not like you can chase these kids down because then the possibilities of even another accident can end up occurring. But just something as I was watching those videos, possibly this is already in discussion, but number one, I know we have a couple e-bike local businesses in the area. Number one, are we talking to them and checking IDs or anything like that, and or sharing this information that maybe, hey, let's give this information out to the buyers so that way we can make sure that they are well informed from that perspective. Somebody already knows. And also, I know I brought this up before behind closed doors, but also seeing if we can extend this out to private schools as well. I know a lot of it's coming from public schools, but just having had kids in private school myself, I know a lot of these kids do have these bikes. Having a child who's 15, I hear it all the time of these kids coming from, Linfield, different schools. So are we moving forward in something like that as far as touching base with them as well?
Yeah, certainly that's something that we can do, and we should do, right? The kids, when they get together, it's kind of that mob mentality, right? And the good kids, but they get together, and once they get rolling, everybody's going to do it, right? And of course, their default setting is that nothing bad is ever going to happen. But you have brought up an interesting point about the actual shops that are selling these machines, right? And what kind of requirements did they have to disclose as to whether or not the products that they're selling are even street legal or not? I was talking to Randy Joel about this earlier in the week, or last week, in one of the meetings, and talking about legislation that might fix some of that, where these businesses, the manufacturers, are required to disclose whether or not these machines, because what we've heard from some parents when these things are being towed out from underneath their kids is, well, I didn't even know this wasn't legal, like nobody ever told me that. And so, shame on them for not doing their due diligence and finding out, but also there should be some accountability from the manufacturer side and say we will disclose. In fact, to the extent where they actually have to provide some sort of waiver to the parties purchasing those things to have them sign and acknowledge what exactly it is that they're purchasing and where it is or is not legally allowed to be operated.
Is that something that, I'm just thinking out loud, is that something that even as a local level that we can, I don't want to call it enforce, right? But in a sense of saying, hey, partner with us. Let's really work on this where you guys can still sell your bikes, do your due diligence to do your business, but at the same time, we want to keep our residents safe. Is that something that we can maybe look at and talk about and seeing how their response is, or has there already been conversation with some of these businesses already?
Well, I think I'm going to defer to Peter on that. Yeah.
I will just jump in too. I think probably one of your colleagues is going to mention this, but the Bike Temecula Valley group does a lot of good work. They're great ambassadors for cycling here in the community, cycling the right way, and certainly I think they have been a part of this conversation and will continue to be kind of part of that conversation, which extends to the bike shops and the things of that nature. So if it's not on our radar, I'll definitely look into it and make sure that it is something that we follow up on.
Thank you.
Councilmember Schwenk?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Captain Regali and Lieutenant Pearson, thank you for the presentation. Seeing those videos is certainly impactful, right? Like, we've seen them on social media, but I even felt like the silence of the video was really helpful in driving this home. This is a problem in our community, and I do think it is going to take some legislative action to actually make this a little easier for cities to sort of deal with this. I also want to thank Lieutenant Pearson. This isn't just strictly like a middle school, high school issue. And we actually had an issue where an elementary school student had purchased one of these, their parents had purchased one of these bikes on Amazon most likely, and it was delivered to their house, and this 10-year-old is riding an electric motorcycle to school. So I'm really, it's disheartening at times because we've spent a lot of time and energy and money updating our bike lanes and trails, making it safer to bike and to be more active. This isn't that, though. This isn't recreational cycling, right? This isn't Bike Temecula Valley. This is something completely different. And I really appreciate the effort we're going to sort of clamp down on this and end it, because unfortunately, and we've said it before, someone is going. That rider was missed the car by that much. This is something that's scary. And I'm just really glad that we're taking the time to do this work to make sure that we protect the youth of the community, but the broader community at large. And this is just unacceptable. So the stance that we're taking, I think, is a good one. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the video was excellent. I was actually in Old Town when that group came through on December 28th, and they literally blew through every single stop sign. They never stopped even once, doing wheelies right down the middle. I mean, it was just what the video, if I would have said it, most people said, no, but there it was in, living color. So this is something I have a real passion for. I think this needs to have legislative approval. It needs to go through this process to take these bikes, whether they're e-motorcycles or they're e-bikes that have been modified, which a lot of them do get modified. It's so easy to ungovern these bikes, and everybody knows that. You just YouTube it 1 second and you'll find it. So they go much faster than the class 1, 2, 3. So basically parents are buying lethal weapons for their kids, and they're putting in the hands of these kids who really don't understand the rules of the road, and putting not only themselves at danger, but the general public who is operating a motor vehicle 10 times the size and weight of that bike, 10 times, 100 times. So it's a super, super dangerous situation that we're kind of very limited on what we can do, because of the laws say they can ride them. But they got to obey the rules of the road, and they don't know the rules of the road. So how can they obey something they don't even know? And even if they did know, go back to the mob mentality. Once a couple of them start doing, they all start doing it. And I get it. I was a kid once. But it's something that I think we as a council take very, very seriously. This is not a good thing. So I just wanted to reaffirm that.
Councilmember Ron?
Yeah, so you're talking about some of the outreach programs, and that's probably the most important component of this, I think. With regard to the parents, you mentioned a lot of school outreach and all that. Are we trying to get with the school district direct contact to the parents to say, hey, these are all the machines that are illegal to use, and here's the risks and that kind of thing?
Yeah, we are working hand in hand with the school district to do that and bringing those classes to the schools and providing them with that information. But yeah, that is a work in progress, and we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's especially critical because like you mentioned, I think all of the e-motorcycles that were being used on city streets aren't allowed to be used on city streets. Is that
Correct.
understanding that? I mean, you know, so somebody's buying these, you know,
Right.
for the kids. So part of it is the responsibility of the parents to understand what they're buying their children. But, you know, part of it is also just that education. Maybe they have no clue what really is going on. So the more information we can get out there, I think the better. Appreciate all the effort on doing that.
Agreed.
Well, thank you very much again, Captain Lieutenant.